Do you know that 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for great customer experience? How your customer views your business and the experience of working with you is so important. Why does this matter? If you're only focusing on executing great events, but not the entire client experience, you are leaving money on the table that can be impacting referrals and repeat business. So in this video, I will give you a step-by-step breakdown on the perfect client experience from inquiry to post-event communication. Welcome to Green Eyed Ambition. Hi, my name is Jessie. Here we talk about all of the unsexy things about running a business in the event industry. Today's conversation is intended to help you with being able to create a client experience that will help you with standing out from the competition. So let's get into it. You may be wondering why a mapped out client experience is essential. I'm going to tell you why. Companies that lead in customer experience outperform others that do not make it a priority, nearly by 80%. So our client experience is really one of the core things to how we succeed in business, not just how our services are executed. So I wanted to share three things that will help you of understanding why mapping out your client journey will help you. The first thing is that it sets clear expectations for clients as well as your team. One of the things that people often talk to me about that are in the event industry is that they end up finding that they have scope creep that happens in their business. And what I mean by scope creep is someone may have paid you for one thing, but because you don't have cleared steps, you are doing things that you should have been charging for free because there isn't a outline for your clients to know what they can expect and what they should not be expecting unless they were willing to pay for it. The second reason why it's important is that it eliminates miscommunications and keeps projects organized. Where there is no clarity, confusion happens. And when there's confusion, there will always be miscommunication. So a clear expectation that is set out in the beginning and throughout the process is important. This often is why sometimes when we feel as if clients are always calling and reaching out and these types of things, and it's often because there hasn't been any type of structure for people to follow. So you do want to make sure you have clear guidance when it comes to your process. And then the most important part is that when you have a mapped out journey, it can increase repeat bookings as well referrals. So you want to ensure that your clients are having a seamless experience. You do not want it to be that people want to recommend you to their friends, but they have to give disclaimers about, hey, you may have to follow up with this person a couple of times before they reach out. You do not want that to go around. Yeah, your services may be great, but if the experience leaves people uncertain and confused, then that will ultimately impact how people view you. So let's dig into the 5 key phases inside of your 5-star client experience. One of the things I talk to people about when I am setting up their accounts in HoneyBook, because I am a certified HoneyBook Pro that specifically works with event or service-based businesses. The one thing I always talk to people about is the importance of understanding the main arching stages inside of your flow so that you're able to make sure that follow-ups are not following through the cracks, miscommunication isn't happening, and most importantly, you're able to rinse and repeat the experience for each and every client. I have people push back at me because they're like, every event's different. Yes, the theme may be different, but if we're having it that every time we're getting a new project that we're reinventing the wheel each and every time, that will be guaranteed to be hard to scale unless you're charging premium dollar. If you're not charging premium dollar to reinvent your wheel each and every time, then you should not be doing. So here's a pro tip for you. Think about your client journey like a high-end hotel experience. Every touch point matters from the first impression all the way through to the end. So the first part that we're going to talk about is your inquiry phase. That is going to be the first impression, and you want to make sure it counts. You want to avoid some common mistakes, which is slow responses, which will make it feel as if you're not professional. So a client will want to move fast depending on the type of service you have, but you do want to make sure that you are not taking weeks for someone to actually hear back from you the first time. So one of the things you want to think about when you're giving a VIP experience to anyone when they're first working with you is that you want to think about automated inquiries and responses. That's why why HoneyBook or any CRM that you may be using will be able to do that. You want it to be that if someone reaches out, they immediately get some type of notification saying someone's going to reach out to them soon, or they're getting an opportunity to schedule a time to talk, or they're getting a brochure, something that's going to at least let them know, oh, I filled out this form and someone's interested in me. And that is also why we should not be having our inquiries go through our DMs. It's also important inside of the inquiry process to pretty much give a pricing guide or what to expect. This is very common inside of the event industry because sometimes what happens is that people are shopping around. And if all they're doing is shopping around, so they're curious, if you don't have something easy for people to easily access, what can happen is now you're spending all this time explaining things to people that they really just wanted to know how much it's going to cost. That's why I think it's important for you to have someone come through a lead form or inquiry form, and then you send them information because you work so hard for someone to find you. And if you don't have a way to follow up with them, they may not ever reach back out to you. So you want to be able to make sure that you're following up with them just in case. And then also, when you do have this automated message, I do recommend using some type of personalized reply. Platforms like HoneyBook or other CRMs, they tend to have the ability that they can pull in people first names, the type of service that they're reaching out to you. So it feels as if you are giving them this amazing first impression that you're organized and professional. I'm going to keep saying people want to work with professional and organized companies. That does not mean that you have to fake it until you make it, but it just means keep in mind where are people potentially feeling confused. And when that happens, they tend to hound or follow up a lot more. And you just don't want it to be that way. The second phase is going to be your booking and onboarding process. I always say this is after you do a consultation, you do a walkthrough, they send you a message and you are wanting to move forward, and then they make that first payment with you. Again, it depends on how you run your business. So your overall goal when you're having your onboarding process is to make the client feel confident about choosing you. Often I find that people are focusing on transactional relationships in the event industry. And if you're doing that, that will almost always guarantee that you're allowing for someone else to come in and potentially steal your customer. Because if you're not thinking through how do I do a relational business using the proper platforms to make it easier for me, then it will really be harder. Usually during the onboarding process, clients are in a space of either being super excited or they're concerned about did they make the right decision. That is when people tend to over communicate because they probably have had experiences in the past where it was poor communication or someone under delivered. So if you find that people are micromanaging you, it may be a sign that you're not doing enough of the right communication so people know what to expect and how this process is going to go. So you want to think about how to remove friction so that people know and that they're confident and you're starting the beginning stages of building trust. So you want to have some type of structured onboarding process when someone's wanting to book you, where you're giving them a contract, invoice, some type of welcome email, so that again, it's easy for you to make sure people know the terms of working with you. They're clear about the pricing structure, when payments and everything are going to be due. In addition, you want to think about having some type of client portal that's going to give FAQs, planning tools, deadlines, and things of that nature. Most client relationship management platforms, the one that I want to recommend to people is HoneyBook. That is what I use inside of my own event business, and it's been such a game changer for me. And if you're interested in using it, I do have a coupon code that lets you save 30% off of the first time you sign up for HoneyBook. So just a little add drop in there for you. And when you have a client portal, and if you're using a CRM that allows for templates, it doesn't mean that you're rewriting emails, you're recreating all of this stuff each and every time. The right platform will allow for you to have it easy to duplicate the same communication to each person using specific types of data points that will pull from inside of that portal and that client's project so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel each and every time. One thing I would recommend for those of you that have a high touch point business and you are having a high end service, think about something that can be a small welcome gift or a handwritten note to make a huge impact. You can easily buy some awesome cards from either Dollar Tree or high end card designer, or you can even create your own postcards and send a nice little thank you for booking me, especially for those of you that are doing premium services. It doesn't have to be something that is extremely expensive, but you want it to be that people are just feeling extra confident about why they chose to work with you. The third phase is thinking about the planning and execution phase. This is important because you want to make sure during this phase, your main goal is keeping clear communication and making sure it's stress free. One of the common frustrations that clients feel during this time period when we're not having this journey well thought out, or we don't use any automation or systems to help us, is that they don't know what's happening next. So they are reaching out, they're having to say what's going on, they're having to do all of the leading and conversation. So when you are looking to create your own, think about, when do people ask certain questions? How can you help prepare them for what to expect next? I can give an example. I have a client that I'm working with that has a venue. One of the things that they like to share are like, these are the rules to hosting an event at our location. So they're reiterating things that people actually talked about on their contract, but they're also may even have, here are some other vendors we recommend for you that can also help with making your event special. This is amazing, especially if they have a preferred vendor list. So just think through, what are some things that you can do with making it easy for someone to work with you. So a great way to fix that, I do not know what's happening next. Think about doing a milestone timeline so the client knows what to expect next. That in 4 weeks, you're going to hear from us about this. 2 days before your event, you're going to hear about this. Like, have something that allows for them to know what's going to happen, and it just really helps them with feeling more confident in their decision. You also want to think about ways that you can do regular check-ins, and it can be either through email or text or some other platform. I usually recommend to do those through email, but I do know there's some really great text messaging options that are not going through your cell phone or through DM. And then if you are, again, having a premium service, think about a surprise or delight moment, which may be some type of reminder, free gift, something that's just a little bit of special touch. But again, it depends on the type of business. All right, the next phase that we want to think about is our event day experience. Your whole goal on that event day is to deliver a wow experience that exceeds their expectations. So you want to think about in advance, what are some things that can potentially happen, and just being prepared so that people know that this person has it under control. So some things that you can do are set up an event day emergency kit for unexpected issues. So if you are a DJ, you may want to have some extra extension cords, because someone may say, oh, you're going to be set up this close to the stage, this, that, and other. And sometimes what they tell you is not the case. So you just want to be prepared, so then you're not having to scramble and you're making it a headache for your client. Also, you want to have someone on site that is an on-site liaison to answer any last minute questions. It can be an assistant, an event assistant, or just someone that is going to help with being a middle person between you and that client, depending on the type of service that you have. And here's a pro tip when it comes to your event day experience. It's nice to have something small and unexpected that gives your customer a lasting impression, because we're not trying to have transactional relationships with our clients. We're trying to have a relational situation with our clients. And the best thing to think about is, you may not have a premium service. You may have something that's super simple, like face painting, or something that's not necessarily a high ticket dollar service in the event industry. But there are little small things that you can do that are going to be big in value to the client. So just think to yourself, if you were the customer, what would be something that would be nice that's not going to be expensive? And the best thing about it is that you set the pricing. So if you want to do these things and you're not quite sure how to be able to afford those things right now, I would say it's time to adjust your pricing so that you are able to do them. If you are going to want to do these nice little gestures for each client and it's going to cost you roughly around $50, increase your price to do it, instead of saying, I just can't do it and feeling so stuck. Okay, the next phase that you want to think about is, to me, just as important as your event day experience, and it's going to be the post event follow up and referral phase. This is important because statistics show that 80% of future revenues comes for 20% of your existing customers. If you do an amazing service for your clients, that can mean that potentially you have the ability to retain 20% of them. So, some of the things that you can do to stay at the top of mind: send a thank you email or feedback request within 48 hours, depending on the type of service. I have a client that I set up on Honeybook, and they tend to do South Asian weddings. And so those tend to be a week long. So what they do is they have their feedbacks go out a little bit longer because people are still in the fog of all of the festivities. So you just need to know your target audience and when is the best time to do these types of things. Also, you can think about offering a referral incentive for bringing a new client. One of the things I do inside of my own business when it comes to referrals is that for any referral I get, I give my existing client a discount on their next event that they book. So I'm not necessarily losing any money because the person has to rebook to take advantage of the discount. And then they sent me somebody, so it's a win-win. So I'm getting a new booking plus a repeat booking from someone so they can take advantage of it. And here's the thing is that you can also think about a surprise bonus. There is a company called Greetable that I used to use to do little gifts after an event where we would snap photos and it will send a customized little gift box. And I know I did have a referral link. I'll make sure to put that in there. And the thing about Greetable is that we would take little photos, and inside of Greetable, they will put together this really cute little gift box, and you can decide on like the little gift you want in it. If it's candy, some type of treat, it even has like you can find a wide range of gifts inside of it. And I'll make sure to have the link in the video for you. But the cool thing is that it gave the person a personalized gift because it had photos from their event. And if you don't want to pay money for it, you can also just do something that is a e-card that you show different photos and moments that you want to highlight and show. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be personalized that show that you care and you value their business. So I do want to share with you some of the common mistakes that can be potentially hurting your client journey. You want to avoid these pitfalls. So the first thing is that you want to not ignore communication gaps. Clients hate wondering what's next. So make sure that when you're creating your client journey, you want to be able to educate and inform people and do this in a synchronized manner so that is again building up their trust but also guiding them along the way. Another common mistake is that you can make your processes too overly complicated. So you want to keep your systems simple and user friendly. One of the things I recommend for people, take a piece of paper and just jot through what your experience is now. Where are some areas that you can improve, and then find a happy medium that is going to definitely ensure that this is going to be a solid process. And another common mistake that people make in their client journey is only following up once. Consistency builds long-term loyalty. And if you're saying to yourself, oh, I sent this message once, and if they didn't respond back, you can be potentially losing customers just because you're not following up with them and you're thinking that they remember. In reality, they just haven't. So you want to think to yourself, how do you do all of the things I recommended to you? You want to find a system that is going to be easy for you as well as for your customers to use. Some of the systems that are awesome for people to use, be it if it's a CRM, something for email marketing, I want to list the ones I personally love to use inside of my business. Some are free and then some are paid. The first one is Honeybook because it allows for you to automate your inquiry responses, workflows, and your overall process. Next, I like to use ConvertKit, which is an email marketing platform that helps with keeping your emails organized so that you're able to stay in front of your clients post event so that they know what's coming up next, any special offers that you have. Also, you can think about using platforms like Google Drive to keep your documents nice and organized depending on the type of business that you have so that people can have all of the resources with ease. And another platform that you can look at is Zapier, which allows for all of your apps to be connected and communicating to each other. All of these are intended to make it easier for you to run your business, but also make it a high level interaction for your customer. So the key to remember is a seamless client journey equals happy clients, more referrals, and a thriving event business. So if you do want a step-by-step template on how to create your client workflow, grab my free resource in the description. You will see a link to be able to learn more about how to use the tips I have, plus some other resources to be able to have a 5-star client experience. Until the next video, peace.